have recently come into information that I believe substantiates a pattern of murders impacting transgendered African American women in Dallas. In the last 2 years, there have been three African American trans women that have been murdered. What nobody discussed is that all three of the murders of those trans women correlated with a very specific situation involving the trafficking of biological females, women that were white skinned, to psychiatric emergency services departments. That there was a specific pattern where the time frames around which these three trans women were reported as having been murdered correlate with entries of a white skinned biological woman under some alleged psychiatric duress. And that's what ended up happening is around the time she was either entered in or released, there was a African American trans woman murdered. Because that is connected to a very specific financial process whereby certain women meeting certain demographic indicators are kidnapped and given fraudulent medical billings, including drugs, as kickbacks to police. And it's one of the reasons why the chief of police in Dallas responded, but as the community noted, responded inadequately. In order for there to actually be an arrival at a resolution to that situation, someone would have to acknowledge the murders of those police officers in 2016, in July of 2016, here in Dallas, as well as the murder of Officer Rogelio Santander that happened in March of 2018. It is not appropriate for people to engage in transgender politicization as a way to cover up for organized criminal activity that involves harvesting the hormones of children for R&D connected to pharmaceutical products. Period. It doesn't matter if they're psychotropics. It doesn't matter if they're hormone blockers for somebody's gender transition surgery. It doesn't even matter if it's to fight cancer. I would appreciate it if after today, whoever it is that is using me to launder contributions to the political campaigns of either of the major political parties and anybody who considers themselves to be a member to stop. That's what you needed, right? Because the truth of the matter is, I was signed up when I was a child to be a human test subject in the rollout of the digital economy, and they wanted me to be a transgender leader. And because I refused to play into somebody's hedging strategy since I was a child, that I would now be one of their token transgender in leadership, I am denied any political agency that isn't about using the forced cybernetic enhancements to which I was subjected since I was a child and allowing them to be mischaracterized as being about transgender rights. Now, if you actually honestly believe that manipulating your child's hormones or cooperating with technologies that manipulate your child's hormones while you're lied to on a variety of other levels is about civil rights, then we have a significant disagreement because I consider it to be child sexual exploitation. I'm a survivor of that kind of child sexual exploitation, and refusal to address it has gotten other trans girls and trans women murdered. It's a reality. Nobody dealt with what was done to what were otherwise my ancestors and people that would have been my colleagues when I was young and needed somebody to stand up for me. But I'm letting you know, I have absolutely no desire to be a part of anybody's paradigm, whether it's around campaign financing or whether it's about civil rights nonprofit organizations trying to get financed, whether it's about tax deductions at their institutions of faith, or whether it's about public school funding or benefits packages for people on some sort of public pension system, especially if it involves intentional manipulations of children's hormones as part of processes of human test subject experimentation. Period. I was too young to consent to being socially engineered into being transgendered leadership. I'm 43 years old now, and nobody wants to take me seriously. Those are the benchmarks that have been set up on your child. Those are also the benchmarks that were set up on your opposition.